News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Dan Schwartzman. We check markets all day long here at Bloomberg. The Dow finished the day down 0.2%. The S&P 500 ended down 0.4%, while the Nasdaq closed down more than 0.8%. The 10-year Treasury yield is at 4.382%. The 2-year yield is at 3.922%. The price of Brent crude oil is around $103.50 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate is at a little under $92 a barrel. The Pentagon is planning to deploy a brigade combat team from the Army's elite 82nd Airborne Division to the Middle East to support operations against Iran. That's according to the Wall Street Journal, citing 2 U.S. officials. The division's combat brigade serves as the Army's emergency response force and can be deployed anywhere in the world in under 24 hours. Officials caution, though, that a decision to put troops on the ground in Iran has not been made as of now. Bloomberg's Michelle Jamrisko says there are still a lot of questions surrounding the possible use of troops on the ground in Iran.
You know, we are hearing the same rumors as perhaps the 82nd Airborne, other units that may have to support if there is a potential ground invasion of any kind or takeover of Karg Island, as has been rumored. Those types of operations certainly would need a lot of different units, which, you know, as the president probably would say, he's keeping options open. He's not promising anything one way or the other.
Hear more from Michelle Jamrisko on the Bloomberg Balance of Power podcast. President Trump, speaking at the White House about the war in Iran, says, quote, "We've won this. This war has been won." The president went on to say that Iran had offered him a gift.
They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
That's President Trump at the White House. Meanwhile, some of Iran's Gulf Arab neighbors are considering joining the U.S. and Israeli war against Iran if Tehran attacks their critical infrastructure. That's according to several people with knowledge of the situation. The report says that the Gulf's most powerful states, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, are losing patience with Iranian strikes that have already hit ports, energy facilities, and airports, but would only join the war if Tehran makes good on its threats to attack vital Gulf power and water infrastructure. Iran says Gulf states are legitimate targets because the U.S. uses their airspace and territories to attack it. Meanwhile, some of Iran's Gulf Arab neighbors are considering joining the U.S. and Israeli war against Iran if Tehran attacks their critical infrastructure. That's according to several people with knowledge of the situation. The report says that the Gulf's most powerful states, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, are losing patience with Iranian strikes that have already hit ports, energy facilities, and airports, but would only join the war if Tehran makes good on its threats to attack vital Gulf power and water infrastructure. Iran says Gulf states are legitimate targets because the U.S. uses their airspace and territories to attack it. Israeli officials, though, say the country will continue striking Iran, with Defense Minister Israel Katz saying the campaign, which is in its 25th day, would continue, quote, at full intensity. In response to an ongoing Israeli bombardment, Iran fired missiles and drones at 3 Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv. Iran has set up an informal toll on the Strait of Hormuz, as the country has begun charging transit fees on some commercial vessels. While the mechanism as to how payments are being made, as well as in which currency, isn't yet clear, payments of as much as $2 million are being sought, with some vessels reported to have already made payments. Some countries, such as India, have objected to the fees, as Iran has shown its influence over the waterway through which a fifth of the world's oil and gas and vast amounts of food, metals, and other materials are shipped every day. Latino voters who helped propel President Trump's return to power could be the reason why Republicans lose control of both the House and possibly the Senate. A national poll by Florida Atlantic University found that the economy, inflation, and immigration are the most important issues for Latinos in the U.S. ahead of November's midterm elections. Almost a dozen Republican-held House seats with large Hispanic populations are considered vulnerable in the November midterm elections, with Republican leaders warning the party's coalition is quickly eroding. Trump's deportation efforts have also damaged the party's standing with Latino voters nationally. More details emerging as to what were some of the reasons for the deadly crash between a fire truck and an airplane at New York's LaGuardia Airport. A system designed to help air traffic controllers monitor vehicles and airplanes on the ground failed to alert personnel at the airport before the jet collided with the truck. The head of the National Transportation Safety Board says the fire truck was also not equipped with a transponder that would have helped pinpoint its location. Despite airlines being hit hard by jet fuel costs surging during the war in Iran, United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby says his carrier's in a good position to weather the storm.
We're carrying triple the cash on the balance sheet that we had pre-COVID. We've moved to the top of the industry in terms of margins, and we have the best highest credit rating that we've had in over 30 years. And what that does is give us the financial resources to look to the other side of the crisis, to continue investing in airplanes like this, to continue a full speed investing in the future, while we make tactical adjustments in the short term, but have the financial resources that we can look through the crisis to the recovery on the other side.
Even so, United CEO Scott Kirby says airfares would need to go up 20% if oil prices stay high. He spoke with Bloomberg's Lisa Abramovitz from United's Elevated event in Los Angeles. Catch a full conversation on Bloomberg's new video hub at Bloomberg.com/videos. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Dan Schwartzman, and this is Bloomberg.